What's happening, captives of the YouTube Matrix? And welcome to Dan on Sports, a channel that is a delicate and delicious blend of facts and humor. Hope you brought your appetite. We're continuing our discussion on every team's offseason. We've made our way west side with a pit stop in middle of America because the NFL still can't do realignment properly. But anyway, how did the teams of the AFC West do? Tune in for the answer. Drop it. For Denver, this offseason was going to be made or broken off of one rumor. The belief was so strong that the Broncos were going to land Aaron Rodgers that Vegas actually made adjustments. No, not their interdivision rivals, like the real Las Vegas. They adjusted the season odds for the Broncos and the Packers off of trade rumors. And we know what happened. Rodgers staying put. You might think that not landing Rodgers turned into a catastrophic failure, but Denver didn't do too bad this offseason. They lost Elijah Wilkinson, which hurt what was already a subpar offensive line, and Philip Lindsay was gone way too soon. They lost journeyman Jeremiah Atauchu to the Bears, where he's continuing his journey. Von Miller remains with the team, which in itself is a win. Adding Darby and Fuller bolsters a loaded secondary. Drew Lock lost his position battle to Teddy Bridgewater. The same Teddy Bridgewater that was ran out of Carolina. This is not the most ideal QB situation. They thought they were getting Rodgers, and you thought they were getting Rodgers. They were so convinced that they completely ignored any QBs in the draft and took a corner when their secondary was already loaded. Fields was there. They actually started a chain reaction by taking Surtain that led to teams trading up and down, snatching players from the grasps of other teams. Overall, the Broncos are a mixed bag. They didn't do terribly, but it seems they had all their eggs in the Rodgers basket. Unfortunately, that basket fell and you know what happened to the eggs. When you go to back-to-back SBs, there's very little you need to do. Kansas City went above and beyond. They had to address a glaring weakness though. It's amazing how a pass rush can wreck a game. Think of the Giants versus the 18-0 Patriots, the Broncos against Cam and the Panthers, and now the Buccaneers against what many thought were going to be back-to-back champs, Kansas City. Pass rush made that offense look very pedestrian. So what did KC do about that? Well, they completely revamped and bolstered the line with guards Kyle Long and Joe Thuney, center Austin Blythe, and tackle Orlando Brown Jr. They also drafted Creed Humphrey in the second round. The additions were huge as they lost tackles Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz. For this offense to function the way it's intended to, you need a solid offensive line. You can say that about any offense, but especially an offense like this that's trying to hit home runs at every at-bat. Wait, what sport am I talking about again? They did not forget about the defense and drafted linebacker Nick Bolton also in the second round. They also added defensive end Joshua Kendo, tight end Noah Gray, wide receiver Cornell Powell, and guard Trey Smith in the draft. Don't be surprised if every one of them produces. The Chiefs draft very well. This is a textbook example of a loaded team with an Achilles heel that shored up their one weakness. They set themselves up to be a continuous problem in the league and should find themselves playing for another Lombardi. KC is desperate to be that next dynasty, and their moves in the offseason reflect that. Year after year, the Oakland Raiders of Las Vegas, their offseason can be summed up with one phrase: WTF. Not to be confused with WFT. And it's pretty much been that way every year since the Rich Gannon era ended. And you'd think Mike Mayock, who seemed like he knew what he was talking about around draft time when he was on TV, would be better at putting teams together. But he's been reaching harder than a fight between Mr. Fantastic and Dawson from Street Fighter. But at least they didn't hire Mel Kiper. They no longer have Trent Brown or Nelson Aguilar, who both lent their services to the Patriots. Not the biggest losses, but watch them shine in New England. LaMarcus Joyner also went to the Jets. Gabe Jackson was traded to the Seahawks. And they also no longer have Rodney Hudson. I'm a big Kenyon Drake fan. Why did you allocate so much money to him when you have a perfectly good and solid running back tandem already? And I already spoke my piece about Willie Snead in an earlier video. He should move the needle, but he never does. I love the pickups of Yannick Ngakoue and Solomon Thomas for the defense. I think that side of the field will wreak havoc, and they'll need to, because there's a few good offenses in that division, and the Raiders are not one of them. They didn't strengthen the offensive line. Derek Carr is who he is at this point, and a weak offensive line isn't going to help things. But hey, there's hope for him. His brother David was beat up his entire career because of poor lines, but snuck in a championship as Eli's backup and improved his Wikipedia page. Career fulfilled. Their drafts have been head scratchers for years. Some picks have been so baffling that Al Davis would have been proud. I mean, I'm still mad that you handed CD Lamb to the Cowboys on a silver platter. It must be a beautiful thing to draft right after the Raiders, because you know they're not going to make the logical pick. And a better player than what you had projected on your draft board just fell on your lap. Leatherwood was a reach at 17. So were Divine Diablo and Malcolm Kuntz. Picking up safety Trevon Moehrig was a nice addition though. Overall, the Raiders had a not so good offseason when you look at the teams in their division and what they did, which might be a spoiler alert when I discuss the Chargers. They'll be looking up at KC and Los Angeles and battling the Broncos for the bottom of the division. Chargers have moved on from the Phillip Rivers era much faster than anyone could have anticipated. Justin Herbert looks like the real deal so far after a very solid rookie year, and the Chargers are doing everything right to protect him. They did have some losses though. Hunter Henry's a big time loss for the team. You don't take away a rookie's tight end. I'm sure that happened enough during rookie hazing. Losing Casey Hayward and Rayshon Jenkins hurts the secondary. The loss of Denzel Perryman hurts the front seven, which also lost Nick Vigil, which depleted the overall depth. But like I said, they made moves to protect Herbert and signed linemen Matt Feeler and Corey Linsley. They also added Jared Cook, who may be much older than Henry and not as good, but he will get you touchdowns if you use him right. They also drafted another lineman in the first round, tackle Rashawn Slater. The entire group will be very good, if not immediately, then in a year or so once they fully gel. I can't believe I saw Asante Samuel's entire NFL career, and now his son has been drafted, further emphasizing how old Brady is. Retire already, man. But yes, Asante Samuel Jr. was an excellent pickup and should be a contributor to the secondary that will most certainly need him. Edge rusher Chris Rumph, the second, and Samuel will help mitigate the defensive losses I stated earlier. Josh Palmer gives Herbert another weapon, and we'll see what Trey McKitty develops into. The Chargers have been very good at reinventing themselves, from Dan Fouts to Stan Humphrey to Drew Brees to Phillip Rivers and now Justin Herbert. The front office is putting them in a position to be a true foil to Kansas City sooner or later, and I think they'll have the biggest jump in the win column of any team this season. And that's your AFC West. And that's your AFC. Do you agree? Disagree? Hate me yet? Football season is almost here. Excited? Let me know in the comments. I love a good sports talk. Up next, we'll switch to the NFC and start with the North and see if they really and truly do remember. But yes, thank you for tuning in and giving me the time of day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon. Follow me on social media. Links in the description. So until next time, friends, you're dismissed. Peace.